Hi guys, and welcome to another video for Transplant Week this week. I'll also be coming up later today with a preview to the F1, the Italian Grand Prix. But this video is about another story that someone that I know who's agreed to share it. And this is about a 9-year-old little girl now named Summer Perry. So. Yeah, let's get into it. She was born on the 2nd of August 2008. And like myself, she was born with Extrea Hepatic Biliary Atresia. Biliary Atresia is where you have your liver and you have your bile ducts, and they're supposed to work in sort of harmony. And biliary atresia basically means your bile ducts are either damaged, missing, or damaged in some sort of way. So it's a rare condition, but most of the people I know usually have the same condition. So yeah, and Summer had to have the Kasai operation, which I had to have at 6 weeks and 3 days. This though, just going through the notes here. Yeah, so this is obviously because the to join the bile ducts and liver together. I was saying that obviously you're born with this condition. It's a genetically based condition, but it's not hereditary. It's not hereditary. Very, very rarely does someone have another family member with the same condition. It usually just happens once in every family. And research, as much as they've done research, they don't know why. They don't know why it happens. It's faulty gene, probably. So yeah, she had the Kasai operation soon after our diagnosis, and Kasai very rarely does it work. I've literally only known one person who messaged me saying he's had the same operation, or they've had the same operation and they've had 31 years. That is extraordinary. Very rarely does it work. Usually, in America they don't do the Kasai operation. They don't bother with it. They just put you straight on the list for transplant. Kings, there are three bases that they can do it from: Leeds, Birmingham, and Kings. Kings, all three of them. This was obviously campaigned by CLDF to make sure that the Kasai operation gets done in these three centres. And yeah, it just provides time for a transplant. It did for me. It has done for Summer here. Yeah, so she was then listed, obviously, for a transplant. All potential donors couldn't work at the time because the liver was too big or weren't a match. So if you don't get any immediate success on the list, like my mum did to me for my second transplant, she offered herself for a living related transplant, and this is what Summer's family decided to do. Now, there's various tests you have to go through to provide to ensure that your liver is capable and match. And these tests, as they went through it, they immediately realised that Summer's father could have been a very good source, but other tests showed that the liver was too fatty, so it was just not right. So they went with their Aunt Maria. And there was no hesitation. They went everything went ahead as smoothly. Yeah, so she had then, obviously, after all the tests are done and everything's been agreed and all the consent forms are done, she had the operation, the transplant at 11 months old. And yeah, it's a liver related. It's very complex because you've got to take piece or left lobe or a piece of that liver from someone to someone else. Now, for anyone that considers living related who watches this video, it will never affect you. It doesn't. It's never had given my mum complications. Never. My mother had it, and within 6 weeks the liver regrew back, and she can happily have a drink, no problems whatsoever. So, whereas obviously for the patient, the transplant patient who receives it, there's obviously certain boundaries they can't cross, like can't drink alcohol and other stuff to look after themselves, because the liver's fighting double, because it's fighting your body at the same time. Because though it's a liver related, it's from your relative, it's not your DNA. So your white blood cells will look at it and think, that's foreign, that's wrong, you need to get rid of it. So they'll just keep attacking it. And your liver's now, you have immune suppression drugs to make sure your liver does not reject. And for that reason, the liver's working double amount. That's why you can't drink, because it puts too much pressure on the liver. It can't cope. So yeah, though this was her only transplant, she's been in and out of hospital numerous times. Her mother's been very good on Facebook, keeping my mum, myself, up to date with what's going on. And usually it's every time that someone's in for infection for this, someone's in for infection for that. I'm like, can she have a break for 5 minutes? And it's usually just because of complications afterwards. Jude's and the amount of times she's had to be in to receive treatment, antibiotics and other stuff, such as, and when you receive treatment you constantly get cannulated. Problem is, if you're constantly cannulated with in your arms, right, legs, wherever they can get a vein, that vein is weak when it grows back. When it repairs and grows back, it's weaker. And like myself, all up here, there's no access. My only access is in my groin if I wanted a central vein, because it clots up. It just blocks up. It can't do it because the amount of times you've accessed it. The more times you access it, less chance the less chance you have of being successful in getting a cannula in. Getting a cannula in is impossible. Getting a cannula in summer is impossible. So there's other ways around it. She has a portacath, which I had until my doctors broke it. And portacath is a revelation. It's something that can go inside under your skin, clips in, it attaches to the main vein. It's like a port in the vein, where you can just it's like having a plug socket along electricity line, and basically you can access the electricity, or in this case blood, by accessing it through a special needle, through a port, through this port, and it just sits under the skin, so there's no infection risk, none of that, and it can last to 10 years, and then you can have it replaced. It's an amazing bit of kit. absolutely a revelation. And Summer has this for mainly her axis and her treatment now because of the amount of time she's been cannulated. Um, so give me a, yeah, so she has to have it for regular antibiotics for when she gets infections. All the blood tests are now done from the portacath. Um, but yeah, so obviously if they need other access, they'll use other access somewhere else. But yeah, she's had to put up with a lot, very lot. And she's only 9 years old. Um, and though being out of hospital so many times, um, she's always kept a very. I mean, I saw her last year in hospital, and again, it was like with Alina, a little bit like myself, where she was taking the mick out of nurses, which I did at that age. Like, she'd be cheeky, always positive. It's like her. It's like what her name stands for. She turned a wintry, dark situate air field to a room and light it up with a summer feel. It just so positive. And I think the resilience of these kids, through kids who have had illnesses throughout life, not just liver transplant, heart disease. I know someone who's got a major heart problem. Um, all through that, they keep such a positive attitude because they don't know any better. They know they have this, but for this is normal. I describe it as the reason I speak about so much now to everyone and to you guys is that I've accepted this is who I am, and it's like these kids accept who they are, and this is normal, and they just get on with it. They have no choice. They realise they have no choice but to have this treatment. And I'm sure there's days where someone will moan about it. I had days where I moan about it. We've all questioned. But in the end, you all have to accept there's a question that you'll never get an answer to, which is why? Why? And you'll never get that answer. But the reason now is that I tell people their stories, to you guys, to the public, and everything like that, is because it's just, for me, it's who I am. And I've been given this opportunity in life 6 times over. I've been given this opportunity to live my life and raise awareness for people who aren't here to do it. But I'm sure Summer is just she's just such a positive, chatty. It's like you'd meet her and you wouldn't realise she's going through so much. You wouldn't. You think everything would be just so normal. Right? She's got no problems in the world. And I think probably part of it accepts that this is just one problem. It's nothing. Obviously it's major, but it's not something that I'm gonna let it bring me down. I'm still gonna try and live my full potential, which is one of the aims of CLDF, so that kids are not limited by the limits, by their disease. And that's what Summer does. Right? She loves her friends. She loves going to school. unlike some 9-year-olds. But she just loves to try and be as normal as she can be, but accepting in the same terms that she's got to have this, and this, and this whilst doing this, whilst having life. And I'm sure when she grows up, she'll be so thankful and grateful. You could tell how grateful and thankful she is to the whole ward, the whole King's unit, right? How grateful for the work they do. And she's an inspiration just for everyone to look at. Every adult, every child, me. I mean, even I take inspiration from it, right? Because she's just showing an example of how you deal with things in life. And I honestly do take a lot of inspiration. I'm 24. She's only 9. But I think in some terms she does it better than I do, and how to deal with it, and how to be so positive and be herself. And she has no problem with that, despite what's going on, no matter what's going on around her. And this is why I wanted to tell her story, to sort of get not just to raise awareness about Transplant Week or have liver disease or anything like that, but to show people how these kids can grow up, and though the amount of problems they have, they can be so positive to everyone around them. It's amazing. It really is. And I go to that children's ward even now to see some of the old nurses that I know, who love to keep in contact and love to know how I'm getting on. Usually I go up there and beg them to come back to the children's side, because I hate the adult side. It's a culture shock. But you see all these other kids around, and usually you get the ones that have fun but struggle to deal with it. But then you see one or two that are like Summer, who's no matter how bad it gets, I bet even if she was told she had to have another one, she'd just go, okay, like, should have a day of crying, should have a moment of crying about it or something, as everyone would do. I had my last transplant, I had 2 days of not talking about it. I just have 2 days of not talking about it. Just like 2 days of shutting away from the world and saying, why have I got to do this again? But she would just have a little moment and then say, well, we've got to get on with this. And that's what's really inspiring, no matter how bad things get. And I think it's just a great example of how people should deal with things in life, especially with everything that goes on about mental awareness, how mentally people are to cope with things and stuff like that. But yeah, and that's only for me, once or twice. I met her once when she's 8, 9 years old, this age now, and the other time when she was months old, and her mother and her family, were all new to this game, and mum being mum, would start the conversation off talking to whoever was in the parents' room at the time, because it's the only way you meet these people. You meet them on the ward, and I think, despite how new they were to this, Summer was going to be a very special person in how she dealt with it because of the family around her. She's got a loving family around her that keeps her spirits up no matter what. Right? And I think they should also take a huge amount of credit into the child that they're bringing up here. And I hope, for God's sake, I hope, if there is a Lord out there, just to give her a break for 5 minutes. Right? Just give her a break from the hospitals for 5 minutes. Right? Let her live her life. Let her be who she wants to be. Right? Let her be as normal as she wants to be. Right? Because she says, like, she wants to be she's happy living a semi-normal life. The only thing I disagree with that is that it's not semi-normal. It's normal for you. Right? Normality is what you want it to be, not what other people decided for you. Right? Because those people don't know your life. They can't judge your life because they haven't experienced it. So normality for me would be out of hospital, stable job, right, and having my own family. Those 3 aspirations of just being a normal person. That's just what I would class as normal. But even now, just going to uni, I've only been able to do uni because of the limits I have, but being but staying out of hospital, that's normal enough for me, right? Because the only thing that's not normal is 13 minutes to keep me alive, right? So if anything, Summer, normal is what you want it to be, right? If you want to accept this as who you are and promote awareness of it, you do that. If you want to keep it to yourself, right, and try and be as normal as you want, that's your choice. Don't let other people decide that for you. That's for you to decide. So yeah, that one was a very short story because it was only 1 transplant, but one, it shows the uniqueness about a liver related. I hope I also explained a bit about liver a little bit there, but it shows how same with also Alina's story that I did 2 days ago, how extraordinary these kids are and how positive they are despite all the shit that's going on around them, all the shit that's happening to them. They still manage to keep a positive attitude and a positive vibe of things are going to get better, things are going to be normal. So Summer, don't ever lose your personality is special, and I hope you never lose it, right? And I know you'll never lose it because you have a family that's by your side and love you 100%, 100%, and respect to every one of them. So yeah, leave a like, a comment, or subscribe if you're new around here. Yeah, leave any comments that you have, any questions you also have about the liver, or any things you want to highlight that I could answer for you. Let me know in the comments below. And yes, and I will be back with another video explaining the importance of transplant week itself. Thank you very much. Take care, and thanks for listening.